Did you know that a zoo in Denmark recently made international headlines by asking the public to donate their unwanted pets? But here's the shocking twist: they weren't asking for these animals to become new exhibits. Instead, they wanted them as food for their predators. The Aalborg Zoo in northern Denmark posted on Facebook asking pet owners to donate healthy guinea pigs, rabbits, chickens, and even small horses that they could no longer care for. The zoo's reasoning: they wanted to imitate the natural food chain of the animals housed there, claiming this was essential for both animal welfare and professional integrity. This unusual request has divided public opinion worldwide. Some people are outraged at the thought of beloved pets becoming dinner for lions and tigers, while others argue it's a more natural and ethical approach to feeding zoo animals. But what makes this story even more fascinating is that Denmark has a long history of controversial zoo practices that most other countries would never consider. You see, Danish zoos operate under a completely different philosophy than most zoos around the world. While American and British zoos typically focus on conservation, education, and creating family-friendly experiences, Danish zoos prioritize what they call scientific integrity above public sentiment. In 2015, Odense Zoo made international headlines for killing and publicly dissecting a 9-month-old female lion in front of school children, a practice they had been carrying on for decades as a means to control their animal population. Even more shocking was what happened at Copenhagen Zoo in 2014. They euthanized a healthy young giraffe named Marius in front of visitors, then fed him to their lions. The zoo received death threats and international condemnation, but they stood by their decision, arguing that it was scientifically sound and educationally valuable. This incident sparked a global debate about zoo ethics that continues today. But the current pet donation request from Aalborg Zoo reveals something deeper about how different cultures view the relationship between humans and animals. In Denmark, there's a cultural acceptance of what they call biological realism, the idea that nature is neither cruel nor kind, it simply is, and that humans shouldn't impose their emotional attachments onto natural processes. The zoo assures donors that pets will be gently euthanized by trained staff, and the euthanasia must be done in accordance with international guidelines and local laws at a similar or better standard than slaughterhouses. They argue that feeding whole prey animals to predators is more natural and nutritionally complete than the processed meat typically used in zoo diets. This practice isn't entirely new, though. Many zoos around the world do feed whole prey animals to their predators, but they typically use animals specifically bred for this purpose or obtain them from specialized suppliers. What's unprecedented is directly asking the public to donate their former pets for this purpose. The psychological impact on the donors is something experts haven't fully studied yet. Imagine dropping off your child's beloved rabbit at the zoo, knowing it will soon become a meal for a tiger. Some psychologists worry this could desensitize people to animal suffering, while others argue it provides a more honest understanding of the food chain. From a nutritional standpoint, the zoo's argument does have merit. Wild predators consume entire animals, bones, organs, fur, and all, which provides nutrients that processed zoo diets often lack. Many captive big cats suffer from dental problems because they don't have to tear through tough hide and crack bones like they would in the wild. Feeding whole prey animals can help maintain their natural behaviors and physical health. The economic factor is also significant. Feeding large predators is one of the biggest expenses for any zoo. A single adult lion can consume up to 15 pounds of meat per day, and quality zoo-grade meat is expensive. Accepting donated animals could substantially reduce these costs, freeing up budget for conservation programs and facility improvements. Denmark's approach reflects broader Scandinavian values about nature and death. In these cultures, there's less taboo around discussing death as a natural part of life. Danish children often learn about biology through direct observation rather than sanitized textbook illustrations. This cultural context helps explain why practices that shock other nations seem perfectly reasonable to many Danes. The international response has been swift and polarized. Animal rights activists have condemned the practice as cruel and unnecessary, while some wildlife biologists have praised it as more honest and natural than traditional zoo feeding methods. Social media has exploded with debates about whether this represents progressive animal care or callous insensitivity. Interestingly, this controversy highlights how our relationship with animals is incredibly inconsistent. Many people who are outraged by the thought of pet rabbits being fed to lions have no problem eating chicken McNuggets or wearing leather shoes. We create arbitrary categories of which animals deserve protection and which don't, often based more on emotional attachment than logical reasoning. The story also reveals how globalized media can amplify cultural differences. What might be a minor local news story in Denmark becomes an international sensation because it challenges widely held assumptions about how zoos should operate. This phenomenon shows how cultural practices that seem normal in one context can appear barbaric when viewed through a different cultural lens. As this story continues to develop, it will be fascinating to see whether other zoos adopt similar practices or if international pressure forces Aalborg Zoo to reconsider their approach. What's certain is that this small Danish zoo has sparked a global conversation about animal ethics, cultural differences, and the complex relationship between humans and the natural world. The Denmark Zoo donation story ultimately forces us to confront uncomfortable questions about our own values and inconsistencies. It challenges us to examine whether our emotional responses to animal welfare are based on sound ethical principles or merely cultural conditioning. Whether you find their practices enlightened or appalling, one thing is undeniable: they've certainly got the world talking.